There are questions surrounding the Giants' offseason, including whether or not they should re-sign running back Saquon Barkley, and if so, at what price? Let's ask some of these questions to New York Post NFL reporter Ryan Dunleavy, who joins me now. Ryan, how's it going?
Good, Dex. How are you?
I'm doing well. Now, Ryan, there's a narrative that exists that it is foolish to re-sign a running back to a big contract and that the position has been devalued in the NFL. So what do you make of that narrative when it comes to Big Blue bringing back Barkley?
I'm glad you added that last part, Dex, because I think each case is individualized, right? Like, I don't know that the Eagles should bring back Miles Sanders when they have Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert. Giants don't have a lot of weapons. So I think that narrative when it comes to the Giants is outdated and kind of foolish. There were some stats in my column today that show you the two things people argue often, that running back extensions don't work out. Well, that's kind of outdated. That goes back to Todd Gurley and Christian McCaffrey and Ezekiel Elliott. There have been 5 good examples: Aaron Jones, Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb, guys like that, of contracts in the last 5 years that have worked out for running backs. And there's this stupid Super Bowl stat about the leading rusher in the Super Bowl on winning teams only making like $1.06 million in salary. Well, that doesn't include Marshawn Lynch because he wasn't the leading rusher in the Super Bowl, even though he was the team's star running back. And it doesn't include Ray Rice getting a $15 million bonus that wasn't part of his salary the year the Ravens won the Super Bowl. So I think it's kind of misleading, and people fit stats to whatever narrative they want. And the popular narrative is that you don't pay a running back.
That is the popular narrative. So if we acknowledge that's an outdated narrative and the Giants are going to bring back Barkley, what is a good annual price to pay Barkley going forward here?
I honestly, I think it's easy. I think it's $14 million per year on average. Now, look, you get into different things like how many years, 3 for the Giants want, Barkley wants 4, how much of the money is guaranteed, and how much of the money is guaranteed in year 1 and 2 versus in year 3 when he could get cut, like those things. But if you're just talking average salary per year, I think $14 million is the wheelhouse. Barkley asked for 16 back in October. That wasn't going to happen. The Giants offered 12 and a half. He rejected it. 14 is kind of the middle point, and it's also the adjusted inflation rate for those guys I gave you earlier, the Chubbs, the Aaron Jones, the Joe Mixons, the Derrick Henrys. Those guys are making about $12.5 million per year on a salary cap that was, $198 million at the time, with the cap going up to $224. If you pay Barkley 14, it's still about that 6.3% allotment of your cap.
Right, so it wouldn't kill the Giants' cap situation in terms of signing him at around that number. But, Ryan, how do you see the situation playing out? Does Barkley get the contract that he wants? Do the G-men end up slapping the franchise tag on him? Or does the team move and try to take a running back here in this year's upcoming draft?
I think it's really dependent on what happens with Daniel Jones. And, as you know, he's asking for more than they want to pay, which, makes sense, is his right. So if they have to use the franchise tag on Daniel Jones to keep him at $32.4 million, then they're not going to have that available for Barkley. So if they don't get a deal done with Jones, then they're going to have to either decide if they want to up their offer to Barkley, which is what I think they should do, or let him test free agency, which is probably where they're leaning at this point. The obvious easy thing to do would be to get the deal done with Jones and tag Barkley, but Barkley's not going to want that either, and I can't imagine the Giants would either. So if I had to guess right now, I'd say he goes to free agency, and then it's 50-50 on whether he comes back.
All right, 50-50. Those are not odds the Giants fans want to be too happy about, but we will see how this plays out. Ryan Dunleavy, he will be all over it. Football season never stops, as we talked about, Ryan. You will continue to go on with the great work at the Combine and beyond next week. Ryan, thanks for the time. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Dex.